Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Julie and this is Stamp with Julie Baum. Today I am bringing you a project that we made at Stamp Club in July of 2026. Now we made 3 different projects and you will find each project is its own video. So besides this one, be sure and look for the other 2 videos for the Stamp Club projects July of 2026. Now we're going to make this very cute summertime card. I'm going to walk you through the steps and show you how it's done. We'll talk about the sizes of the papers and all of the elements. And of course, you'll want to make sure that you open the drop-down menu below this video so that you can find all of the helpful information that I have put for you there, including shopping links and also the written measurements in case I miss anything in the verbal part of the tutorial. All right, so we're starting with a card base made out of lemon lolly cardstock. This is 5.5 inches by 8.5 inches. It has been scored at 4.25, and I have used my bone folder to press in that fold, just reinforcing the crease, and there is our card base. Then I have a piece of Flirty Flamingo cardstock. This piece measures 4 inches by 5.25 inches. Then I have a piece of white cardstock. This is going to be for the inside of the card. And this piece also measures 4 inches by 5.25 inches. All right, then we have some pieces of designer series paper. And I'll put the name of this pack of paper in the notes below. Each of the 3 pieces is 1.25 inch by 5 inches. And these are the 3 prints that I've chosen. I love how they look together, and they just look so bright and summery. So those are all from the same packet. I will put the information below for you. Then I have another piece of the lemon lolly cardstock. So this started out as a scrap. This scrap is about 2.5 inches by 3 inches. And what you'll do with that scrap is you'll use this large die from Nested Essentials. All right, it's the second one down, and you're going to cut that out. So we have that piece there. And with the next size down, we're going to need a white piece cut. So this is what we did in Club. We took our scrap of white, and this scrap needs to be at least 4.25 inches by 3 inches so that you have enough to work with. All right. So we started with a scrap. This piece got cut out of it. And then the next thing we're going to do on here is a little bit of stamping. So you'll want to make sure that you have a large enough scrap to do both of those parts. All right, let's talk about this next piece. This is also from the same packet of paper. You can see this is the yellow print. This piece is 3/8 of an inch, and then the length needs to be at least 5.5 inches. I like to start with a piece that's a little bit extra long. So my piece here is 6 inches long. You'll see how we put that on the inside of the card. All right, in addition to that, you're going to need a scrap of Flirty Flamingo and a scrap of silver foil paper. And I don't have the scraps sitting here, but you just need small scraps like so. For the sunglasses, we're using the Flirty Flamingo scrap and the silver. So once you die cut these, you're going to end up with your sunglasses out of Flirty Flamingo. And then the lenses are silver foil. Now there's a little bump in the middle of the lens pieces. That is in order to be able to poke the pieces out if they get stuck in the die. Let me grab a take your pick tool. If the paper is stuck here in the die, then you just dislodge it like so. But what does happen, and I don't know if this bothers you or not, is you end up with a little bump on those pieces. So what I like to do is just flip those over on my Stamp and Pierce mat. And I take the rounded edge of my bone folder and I just kind of press it. You're not going to completely eliminate that little bump, but it does smooth it out a little bit. Again, if it doesn't bother you at all, don't even mess with this step. But if it is bothering you, you can press it out a little bit that way and it will make it less noticeable. All right, so that's for our sunglasses. Okay, let's do our stamping on this piece. That way I can show you how we ended up with our little inner tube, and then we'll go ahead and assemble the card. So we're using Pool Party ink, and I have the two stamps that you're going to stamp one on top of the other to get our inner tube. And I'm just using the Pool Party color twice. So you can choose two different colors. You can choose a light color and a darker color. We're just going to use Pool Party twice, and you'll see how the second image kind of makes it darker when you're stamping on top of it. I did place a little piece of tape on mine. This was only to help the club members so you can grab the stamp and go and not have to think too much about how to line it up. And so you'll see how that plays into it right now. All right, so I'm going to pick up the Pool Party ink. Also, I have found that with this stamp, it's very helpful to go ahead and use your Stampin' Pierce mat underneath your paper. You will get a better image, in my opinion, than doing it without the mat. All right, so I've got my ink, and I'm going to do my first stamped image. Then I'm going to take this, and with the tape at the top again, I'm going to ink this with the same Pool Party ink. And now I'm going to line up the little cross pieces at the top, the bottom, the left, and the right. So this just helps it to go faster, so you're not having to guess. But you do still want to take a little bit of care and line it up so that the bottom and the top and the right and the left are lined up on the inner tube. Once you press that down, you're going to see that you've got a dark and light Pool Party. Simply take your die and place that on there. In fact, we did these two steps at the same time. Run those through your Stampin' die machine, and you will end up with your pieces that we're using. All right, this one looks a little bit paler, but that's okay. We're going to go ahead and use it instead of taking the time to do this one. Actually, you know what's going to be fun? You shouldn't try new things when you're recording, but let's stamp this one a second time and make this one a little bit darker. It may have just lightened as it dried, but I do want it a little bit darker. There you have it. Worked out just perfectly. Whew, thank goodness. All right, so there is our inner tube that we'll be using. Okay, let's go ahead and begin to assemble. Let's put our sunglasses together. So I'm going to place a tiny little dot of glue on the middle of the frames like so. And I'm going to grab my frame pieces or lens pieces and just set those on there. And this one in the same manner. And there we have our cute sunglasses. Okay, we'll let that sit for a moment and just dry. Get it evened out a little bit. All right, there's our glasses. Then we're going to do some stamping on this piece. So let's do that next, and then we can add it to our little yellow mat. For this, I'm using Flirty Flamingo ink. And the stamp that says Hello Sunshine. Very straightforward. All right, this can now get attached right there to the yellow rounded rectangle. And just line that up in the middle. You want to have an even yellow border all the way around. Like so. All right, we've got those elements ready to go. Our inner tube is ready to go. Let's go to our card pieces. So starting with the Flirty Flamingo piece of cardstock, we're going to add this as a layer onto our card base. Zoop. Leaving a yellow border all the way around, like so. Now, this card design might look something similar to a card that I recently did in my Simply Saturday series, where I show you a card that's fast and easy to make. But I used a similar layout with different papers and a different focal image, but you might notice or recall seeing the layers and then the 3 strips and our focal image. And you're not wrong. That was in a very recent Simply Saturday. Okay, let's lay out our little strips here to determine the order. I think I'm going to keep it the same way that I did on my other sample. I like the stripes at the top and the polka dots at the bottom. So we're going to proceed like so. There is a little bit of space between each of the strips. And you've got a little bit of the Flirty Flamingo color showing on the right and the left as well. All right, so we're going to start with that and go to the middle. If you have a method that you really like perhaps you like to put the middle one on first, then just go ahead and do what seems right to you. I'm going to set my second one down, and before I press it hard into place, I'm just going to double check my spacing. I'm glad I did because I'm going to move it up just a hair. There we go. And now that center piece is in place, and our final piece with these cute little polka dots. Sliding this one a bit to the right before pressing it down and in place. There we have it. All right. The next thing I want to go ahead and do is the inside of the card. So take that white panel, the 4" by 5 1/4, and that strip that we ended up with. I'm going to grab a silicone mat here, just in case any of this extra glue oozes out. It's going to go onto my mat and not onto my glass mat where it's going to be sticky and make a mess. All right, it's your choice at this point. You can put the glue on the strip, or I know that I'm going to put this right here at the very edge of this. So I am just going to go ahead and put my glue onto the cardstock. The choice is yours. And lay this down, leaving a little white edge, like so. As I mentioned in the beginning, I like to start with a strip that's a little extra long. You can see that happening here. That way I don't have to worry about lining up on an edge. I can just go all the way across end to end and then come in with my scissors and trim. But if you want to cut it exactly the correct length, it will be at 5 inches. All right, this piece is ready to go inside the card. Let's do it. You could use any scrap from this packet of paper. I would recommend choosing one of these 3 so that it coordinates with the front of your card, but you could easily have the striped or the polka dot be this strip as well. Okay, and do you see what I just did? I flipped this open. My ink pad was right there. I usually close them, don't I? All right, so we're going to not worry about that because I have a perfect one to show you at the end. Don't worry about that for now. Let's take our Hello Sunshine and add some dimensionals to the back. I have a piece of the edges of these dimensionals that I want to use up. So I'm just going to pull some of these little cut pieces. Do you do that? Do you use every little bit of this sheet? All right, there we have that. All right, we're going to get this into place. I'll show you how I attach the little inner tube. There's one little helpful hint on that one. Okay, we are going to put this at an angle right about there. Now we're going to add this. Now what's happening is part of my inner tube is going to be up on this raised tag that we made, and part of it is going to be here. So I need to raise one side of the inner tube and not add a dimensional here. I want this to stay the same level as that. So it's easy to do. Let me grab another couple snippets of the edges of this. And I'll put 2 of them, maybe 3. Let's see here. Yeah, let's do 3. I'm going to put 3 of them here, and then this opposite side is just going to get a dab of glue. Okay, so we'll do it like that. Then I haven't made any awkward layers by adding to or not popping the inner tube up enough. So I've got the right side that's going to be popped up to bring it equal to this, and I've got that little dot of glue to anchor it on there. All right, we're down to our sunglasses. We're going to do the exact same trick. So I'm going to take a dimensional and put it only on the left side of my sunglasses, and on the right side, just a dot of regular glue. And in doing so, we accomplish the same thing on this side. This part is the equal height, and so is that brought up by having the dimensional underneath it. And there we have our card. Now, let me bring in the one that did not get dropped into the ink pad for you. All right, there we have it. And I do want to show you the rhinestones. So let's do that step. There's probably a number of different embellishments that would look cute on this, but I chose just the glitzy, blingy rhinestones, and I'm going to use 3. All right, just like so. And there we have our very cute summery card with the beautiful and bright cherry patterns, like so. Thank you so much for watching, and as I mentioned in the beginning, be sure and look for those other 2 videos so that you can enjoy everything that we made at Stamp Club in July of 2026. Thanks for watching. See you next time.